violence.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Daily Teh, where we spill all the tea on anything and everything you need to know. I'm Ray.
And I'm Pavitra Shini, your host for today's episode, and we are going to be talking about sexual violence in Malaysia. Prep your tea, take a seat, and let's go.
Also, a trigger warning before we actually begin. We will be touching on sensitive topics such as rape and sexual violence throughout this episode, so please take note of that before proceeding.
So, Ray, how are you? How has the pandemic been treating you?
Honestly, this pandemic has been tiring me out mentally, but did you hear? There's been so many people actually coming out and speaking up about their experiences with sexual harassment.
Yeah, with the whole hashtag Make School a Safer Place movement, and also the recent update on the V2K group, and also reading multiple news on sexual violence in our country on social media. It's honestly very depressing and sad to see what these people have to go through, you know?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Let me just explain a bit on what exactly sexual harassment means before we start this whole podcast. So basically, sexual harassment can come in many forms. They can be comments about sex, inappropriate, non-consensual physical contact that people find annoying or offensive.
Yep. And also consent is a very important thing. So consent is like the permission to do a specific act that is given by the person in authority. So having consent means that you respect your partner, yourself, and your relationship.
Consent can actually also eliminate the entitlement between you and your partner, so no one will feel like they're above each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Shini, how do you define sexual harassment? What actions do you consider as sexual harassment?
So for me, I consider any actions that indirectly make me uncomfortable in a sexual way is considered harassment. It could be from the words you say or the actions that you do. And I also feel like many women, they find it hard to identify whether an action done to them can be considered as harassment, which is why many don't dare to report it, as they feel like it's not a serious thing to take action on. But let me just say that if you encounter anything that makes you uncomfortable, you have to report it. Because that is harassment and you should be reporting it. So yeah, how do you define sexual harassment?
Okay, firstly, I agree with everything you said. And my answer actually is pretty similar to yours. So anything that is non-consensual, even if it's a one-sided consent, is automatically considered harassment in my opinion. So basically, inappropriate jokes are also counted, like making inappropriate comments about another person, even if it's in a joking manner, is a big no-no to me. So actually, some people may not realize they're a victim to sexual harassment, since some actually just think that, inappropriate touching or words are the only things that are considered as sexual harassment. It might come as a surprise to everyone, even myself when I first found out about this actually. But did you know sexual harassment can come as a psychological form? So for example, when someone keeps pestering you to go over to their house and basically forcing you to, go places even after you say no. Leering, ogling, and also eating food provocatively are also some forms of sexual harassment.
Yeah, and the most obvious forms of online sexual harassment would be like the sending of pornographic materials or sending unsolicited pictures of their private parts without you asking. So it's like a different story if when both parties consented to sending and receiving the pictures. It is wrong when one party decides to send the picture elsewhere without the permission of the owner. Yeah, so that is a form of online sexual harassment.
Exactly. People who send unsolicited pictures or even spread pictures that are strictly sent to them only are the worst. I know a few friends who have been sent pictures of a stranger's private parts, although they did not or were not even asking for it. And people who blame the victim for tempting the harasser by wearing quote unquote inappropriate clothing are also disgusting. Like, how is it their fault that the harasser can't control themselves?
I know, right? Exactly. Okay, so like since we're talking about this, let's talk about the recent hot news on the Telegram group V2K. It went viral last year, and
I heard.
it came back again this year, recently. I think a month ago, if not mistaken. Yeah. So basically, first we had the V2K. So this year we had another group called Vitamin for Testicles.
Okay, but honestly, I thought that the V2K was going to be the last we'd ever hear about that again since there's been action taken. But now there's a whole new Telegram group. That's so disgusting.
No, the sad thing is it's never ending actually. You know why? Because the members of the group constantly creates new groups, new links. And so like when the current group gets reported, the members know which link to move to next. So like this has been going on, and I think like, you know, after that Vitamin for Testicle group has been reported, I am pretty sure they're still doing it. So like this information is from a post by the Loud Asians on Instagram. And so that is why like it's a never ending cycle. It is never ending until someone from higher authorities take serious action on the members of the group.
Oh God, just hearing the name Vitamin for Testicles makes me so disgusted. Ugh. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. The higher authorities should definitely take serious actions. Even if it means not all the private images manage to get deleted, but at least, right, those who are involved in this case can receive the punishment that they deserve. It's honestly sickening to just even think about it, and I hope that the victims can get the justice that they deserve soon. They're not only like spreading pictures of women without consent, but I heard they're also like spreading pictures of children around.
Yes. Not only like pictures of children, but also selling videos of child pornography.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. So it was mentioned by like the post earlier. The members of the group would like call the women that they aim to sexually exploit as projects. Okay, so they were on their 27th project before the group got shut down on the 7th of June. So that was like a month ago. And it's just so sickening to hear about all this.
Oh my God, I hate how they're objectifying women by calling them project.
No, right?
Like, what is going on in their brains? Like, they're so disgusting. I can't believe that they were only exposed after a whole 27 projects, you know? Like, to think that they even got away with the first project makes me feel honestly very, very sick and disgusted about how the society that we live in. Like, how did they even think that doing this was morally correct in any way possible? Okay.
No, So like they released a few messages from that group, and they were saying like the members of the group were saying like disgusting acts that they want to act on the women. Like they want the women to do a certain pose, or they want the women to wear some. It's just so sad. I don't know what else to say other than just so messed up. And
so basically they blackmail women just for their own they could satisfy their sexual needs. That's messed up in so many ways.
Yes.
I can't take this anymore. So since we're on the topic of recent cases of sexual harassment in Malaysia, let's talk a bit about the hashtag Make a School a Safer Place movement.
Yes, I've heard about it recently. So yeah, you want to explain?
Yeah, sure. So to simplify what exactly happened, basically this 17-year-old Malaysian student, Ayin, she exposed her school's PE teacher for making rape jokes during class. And the joke actually encourages the male students to rape. So what the teacher actually said was something along the lines of, If you want to rape someone, don't rape those who are under the age of 18. Do it to those who are above the age of 18. Rape is honestly not a topic to make a joke out of, to be honest. It made me so disgusted when I first read up about it on Twitter.
So like, as a teacher, you are supposed to be educating your students, like teaching them good morals and behaviors. With like comments like this being made in class as a joke, honestly tells so much about you as a teacher. So like, teachers are responsible to create a safe space for their students without them feeling afraid. And like, how do you expect your students to not follow this kind of behavior? Like, to them now, it's as if like making rape jokes are okay. And when in reality, it is so unethical and so wrong in so many ways. Oh, and Ray, is it true that Ayin received like a lot of backlash and rape threats just for voicing out?
Yep, Ayan actually tried to talk about this to her school's counselor, but they excused the PE teacher's behavior by saying that he usually only teaches male students and saying that it was normal for boys to behave this way. It basically just excuses this kind of behavior. It makes me wonder, how many much more inappropriate rape jokes did the PE teacher make prior to being called out by Ayin? She also actually received rape threats by the people in her school. And teachers even went as far as to calling her mentally ill since they claimed that Ayin tarnished the school's image. Like, I think it actually reached a point where Ayin was almost expelled from her school, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think like she had to transfer school or she's like in the verge of transferring.
Yeah, this one I'm not too sure, but oh my god.
So like all this is just so inhumane, you know? All she wanted to do was #make school a safer place. When will people realize that it is so wrong to be joking about sensitive topics like rape? Blaming it on the behavior of boys is only adding to the problem. It's time to like start educating them on what is good and what is bad.
I agree.
Personally, I feel like issues like this come from the upbringing of one's home. So if parents start advising their sons to treat women with respect and not make sexist comments or jokes around them, as you know, like, you know, monkey see, monkey do. So you teach them the good things and they follow. You teach them the bad things and they follow. So yeah. So like as a parent, not to say just parents, as a older person, you should be teaching the younger generation good example for them to follow, you know? Besides that, the internet or like the people who you hang out with also play a big role in like your behavior. So yeah. And like, kudos to like Ayin and her parents though. They must have been so freaking proud that their daughter was able to stand up and voice out publicly about this.
Exactly. I'm really, really, really proud of Ayin for speaking up. I feel like not many victims actually dare to speak out about their own experiences or even like stand up to their harassers. And that is completely valid and understandable. Some people might have this sort of mindset in which people will judge them if they speak up. And going through such a traumatic experience might even leave them feeling like no one truly understands them and that they're alone in this situation. Okay, so I can never repeat this enough, but it is never the victim's fault if they don't deserve to feel like that.
Yeah, so it's true. Some victims feel like they are trapped, as sometimes when facing such harassments in areas of their life that can be hard to report, such as like education sectors or even their workplace, as like now their reputation and literally their life is at stake, you know? So I have been reading and I've heard many victims that have been assaulted, harassed by their lecturers, teachers, people that hold a higher position than them. They have no other choice but to silence their voice so that they don't have to face threats by their perpetrators. So these threats could include like literally losing your job or not having your exams to be graded, which means like failing your exams. Honestly, so messed up.
I agree.
By this, like you can see all of this is happening because we live in a society where majority of the sectors are male dominated, which means that most of the perpetrators are male. They feel like they hold a certain power against us women and feel like they are able to do whatever they want because they are in a higher position.
God, I hate it when people use their power to hold people, to like make people feel like they're not as good as they are. You know, some people actually blame themselves for not standing up at the time. So they feel like it's their own fault, or they are afraid that their abusers or harassers or perpetrators will inflict physical harm. No matter what happens, right? Harassment is never and will never be okay. I hope whoever does these things actually gets heavy punishment because they deserve it.
Yeah. And like, I understand that it can be very hard to voice out, especially if you're like from a conservative family. But just know that regardless of the situation, never let these perpetrators go, because you must never let them go without receiving their well-deserved suffering. Okay, so actions like this should never be something like that could be just brushed off, you know? Justice must be served.
Yep. I also feel like we as a whole, we need to combat the ignorance of Malaysian youths towards this topic, since it's so much stigmatized and it became such a taboo topic in Malaysia. And what better way to start than educating boys about this? Okay, so start to make a small notice. Sexual harassment is something that should not be taken lightly, but most teachers or grown-ups or guardians tend to ignore or gloss over this topic since it's seen as a taboo, and that no means no. A woman's choice of clothing is never an invitation to get sexually assaulted.
Yeah, I agree. No means no. The saying needs to be implanted in everyone's mindset, no matter the gender. Another thing that we need to stop is trivializing rape jokes. They are not funny and will never be funny. Rape jokes are often perceived as funny and harmless, or some may call it dark humor, except that it actually perpetuates rape culture. This can actually normalize not only jokes, but also behaviors such as victim blaming, objectifying, as well as violent acts. In reality, all it does is create an environment where jokes which perpetuates violence against women is okay. This kind of quote-unquote humor is never okay to begin with.
I really, really despise and hate these kinds of jokes. And whenever we call them out for it, right, we're suddenly being called snowflakes, called sensitive. It's so... It's also very important to educate people on why victim blaming is not okay. What a woman is wearing, how much she drank that night, or even how late she stayed up until is never an invitation to touch her without consent, and it's never an excuse. So yeah, I think that victim blaming definitely plays a huge part in rape culture, as it creates fear among victims, which makes it harder for victims to speak up.
We should also be holding all these perpetrators accountable. Let it be someone close to you, or like a friend or family, or even a stranger. Just because you know them, that doesn't mean they have a free pass for being held accountable. Always remember that if you turn away a blind eye, you are a part of the problem. So, Lee, would you like to elaborate more on like how we can help victims?
Okay, so definitely provide support to the victims. I know that some people don't actually know how to comfort people or are good with words.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, I'm like that too. I really don't know how to comfort people at times. But the best thing you can do, right, is actually become a listening ear to your friend and provide unlimited support. Make your friend feel like they can always come to you when they need someone to talk to. Like, provide them with a safe space. Make them feel safe and make them feel valid. Do not, I repeat, never invalidate how they feel. That's actually the last thing you'd want to do, since it takes them a lot of courage just to actually tell someone what happened. Also, a really important point, right, is to never tell others what the victims have told you, especially without their permission and consent. They probably had to muster up a lot of courage just to tell you. But if you tell others, that is actually a big invasion of privacy, and it can actually lead to your friend losing trust in you. It's their story to tell and never yours unless given permission.
Speaking of stories, I recently came across this app called Safe City. So it was started by Elsa Marie. She is the founder of Red Dot Foundation, which is a foundation started in 2017 to create awareness on sexual violence and to help women and other disadvantaged communities to break their silence. So she launched the app 10 days after the death of Jodi Singh, which is a young girl in India who was gang raped on a bus.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The app was created to help victims to report their sexual and gender-based violence anonymously. Basically, to help girls who don't feel safe or protected if they were to report it publicly.
Oh my God, I don't think I've ever heard of this app, but the backstory to why this app was created is honestly just heartbreaking to me. Like, the girl was a child and she got gang raped. Like, society is so messed up. But right, I think I'll definitely be downloading this app on my phone just so I can feel safer when I go out alone. It's kind of sad how a lot of women have to be wary when they go out, and they always have to have some sort of protection on them, whether it be pepper spray or like those tasers.
Yeah, and you know, like, I came across like a few posts on Instagram, like or like tweets that was tweeted by women or posted by women. Like, they're saying things like, you know, for a girl to go out at night, they feel much safer if they were to dress like a boy. So they had to like dress like a boy just so that they could go out, you know, and to feel safe, which is so just sad lah, you know. So sad.
Yeah,
and,
like
and like also I came across like I think it was like Instagram story, if I'm not mistaken. Like, okay, so it was like a poll. So they asked whether if for 24 hours, like there was no men on earth, so what would you do, you know? Then everyone, like all the women were saying like, oh, like I can just finally go out and not feel scared, you know? They could just like go out and do all the things that they want to do without feeling scared.
Yeah,
And like other yeah. So you can literally see like the problem here is not women, and still victim blaming is a thing.
Exactly. Like, women are scared because of how men have been objectifying and perpetrating on women. Like, they don't deserve this kind of treatment. They should be able to leave the house at night without feeling scared, without feeling like they are going to get harassed.
Yeah, so like there are many organizations here in Malaysia that can help victims as well. So we got AWAM, which is All Women Action Society. They are a organization that basically helps any issues regarding sexual violence. So recently they are doing this sexual harassment bill campaign. So they are working with many NGOs to like draft and propose a sexual harassment bill for like over 20 years already lah. So
Oh my God.
Yeah. So for them, they feel like Malaysia needs this sexual harassment act as like it will create a safer environment free from sexual harassment in both public and private spaces, which I honestly agree so much.
Me too.
Yeah. So the next organization is Women's Aid Organization. So by the name of the organization, it is a whole organization to stop violence against women. Okay, so it's an organization that help women against sexual violence. Victims are able to come up to them and tell them about the incident, and they will help those victims to take action. Yeah. And the next one, we also have Befrienders, which is so Befrienders, it's a suicidal hotline. They function 24/7. So people who are lonely, in distress, or in despair, or having suicidal thoughts are able to call them and tell them their problems, and they can help. So this can also relate to what the topic that we are talking about, because I feel like a lot of women, I think if I'm not mistaken, there was this girl who came to a point where she wanted to take her own life because she was a very young girl. Okay, so she came to that point because she found out that her private pictures that she sent to her boyfriend got leaked.
Oh my God.
Yes. And her parents found out about it. So as a young girl, all this, I don't know, she must have been feeling so many kinds of emotions, like her parents now see her as a different person, all this. So yeah, victims facing this kind of problems are able to just talk to someone, just try calling them out, or yeah.
I agree. Parents should be a safe space rather than something a person should be fearful of.
Yeah, it's true. But for that young girl, basically everyone around her was blaming her when it's not her fault. It was the boyfriend's fault for sending the picture out. Yeah.
I hope the girl got her well-deserved justice though.
Yeah, I hope so too.
But survivors, they can actually also reach out to the person that they trust the most, whether it be a friend or a family member. But ultimately, it all comes down to whether the survivors are ready to tell their story or not.
Yeah. All in all, sexual harassment or sexual violence is definitely something that should be talked about more and not be taken as a taboo topic, especially with the increasing cases of sexual violence throughout this year.
I agree, but lately I realized that people have been more open to talking about such topics, so I'm pretty glad lah. So I also think that survivors speaking up can actually lessen the stigmatization of sexual harassment, and they should always remember that they are never alone. There are a lot of people standing behind them and supporting them, even silently.
Yes.
So we have come to the end of today's episode, and we'd love your insights on what was discussed. So share your thoughts with us on our Instagram at theyouth_official_ or send us an email at youthofficial2020@gmail.com. You can also email us any questions or topic suggestions that you would like us to talk about in our future episodes.
Do remember to also check out our website and Instagram account for more info. It's us, for the youth, by the youth, about the youth. Till next time, Ray and Pavitra Shini signing out.